Welcome back to the importance of Shabbat. So this is part 2 to part 1. And I would go watch part 1 because it's so important. We need to understand this step by step. It's important to Yahweh, so we should understand it and make it as important as He does. So we left off at Shabbat being holy. And I'm going to let you go watch the other video if you haven't to get that information. Anyway, so Yahweh created for 6 days. The Sabbath was created, instituted, so His image, His creation, could act on the image of Yahweh and create. Because it says in verse 2, because on that day God rested from all of His work which He had created. Why? Keep going. So that it itself could produce. That's a very interesting additive, don't you think? Why would He add that in there that way? It's very intriguing. So He rested from His work in creating days 1 through 6. He rested so that the creation made in His image, us, Adam and Eve, could produce. Because after He got done with creating the animals and the land, or the sky birds and the fish, what did He say? Be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Who was created on day 6? The animals and us. We were created on day 6. And then what did He command us to do right after we were created? Be fruitful and multiply. So then He created His own day. That is what it means when Yeshua says, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. We were created in God's image on day 6. He commanded us to go and be fruitful and multiply. Then He gives us His own separate day, His own separate entity, so that we could do what He commanded us to do. Watch that sequence. He created us, gave us a command, then created a day where He could watch us act on that command. Moment of silence for that one. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Yeshua would know. Go read Proverbs 30. He was there, days 1 through 6. He was there since the beginning. We went over that in the last video. So that's what that means. Sabbath was made for man. It is a gift. It is our gift, and we'll get to that in part 4. But why? So that it itself could produce. Sabbath was made for man so that creation in His image could produce like Him and be with Him. So, Sabbath is holy. He created this day above the rest. It is His own entity. It is His own creation. So it is, why? So that it itself could produce. God rested, and we are to follow what He did. So He rested, we rest. He gives us a command, we follow the command. It's back and forth. He gives us the gift, we open the gift. We take the gift, we cherish the gift. It's a day to rest with Yahweh. It's just plain and simple. If we're keeping it so simple, it's a day to rest with Yahweh. And Yahweh with us. We're going to go to Ezekiel 45 and Isaiah 58. And we're going to go back to Isaiah 58 quite a lot because it gives us a lot of intel about resting with Him and Him resting with us or communing with us on Shabbat. Ezekiel 46, So we're going to go to Ezekiel 46, verse 1. This is what Adonai Elohim says. The east gate of the inner courtyard is to be shut 6 working days. Mama! But on Shabbat it is to be opened, and on Rosh Hodesh it is to be opened, the new moons. The prince is to enter by way of the outer vestibule of the gate and stand by the support of the gate. This language should be familiar with those who have read the Gospels. The priests are to prepare his burnt offering, peace offerings. He is to prostrate himself and worship at the threshold of the gate. Yeshua is the gate to the narrow way. He is the master of Shabbat. This language should be familiar to you. But the gate is not to be shut until evening. The people of the land are also to prostrate themselves and worship before Adonai at the entrance of the gate on Shabbat and on Rosh Hodesh, which is new moon, I think. I hope I'm right on that. Let's skip down to verse 8. When the prince enters, he is to go in by the way of the vegetable gate, and he is to leave that same way. But when the people of the land come before Yahweh at the designated times, whoever comes in to worship by the north gate is to leave by the south gate, or to leave the opposite way. And if you notice, if you come in through the north gate and you leave through the south gate, you're continuing on the straight way. If you come in through the south and you go out the north, you're continuing on the straight. You're not looking back. You're going forward. Same with east and west, west and east. When you're coming to the gate, you leave the opposite way, because you're not returning in the same way that you came. You are being transformed. Here. Yeshua. Yeshua is Yeshua. You know what I mean? So it says that he is not to go back out through the gate which he entered, but is to exit straight ahead of him. Continue on the straight way. But listen to this. Verse 10. On these occasions, Shabbat and Rosh Hodesh, the prince is to be among them when they enter. And when they leave, they are to leave together. You see how important that is? When you break Shabbat, you miss all this. You miss it. When you leave, when you come on Shabbat to the temple, this is the heavenly temple. It has not been built. It's coming down. This is what's in heaven right now. This descriptiveness right here. When you come before him on Shabbat and you observe Shabbat, you are coming to that gate. You are communing with the Father. It is not to be shut until evening. Then you're continuing straight ahead of you, keeping on that narrow path. And the amazing thing is that Yeshua meets you at the gate, walks with you through the temple, and leaves with you, because you are transformed when you encounter him. Amen. Praise Yah for that. You are transformed when you encounter him, and he never leaves you. You leave together. Do you really want to miss that? That time with your king? That time with your prince? That time with your maker? Whew. I know I don't. So Shabbat was created, and the first Shabbat was a lot like that. You came in and you leave with Yah, and he rested with you. It is a time that he, not only his creation, are bonding the way he designed them to bond, husband and wife together, the body of Messiah, but he is bonding with his creation on Shabbat. That's why one of the biggest reasons why he set it apart is holy. Lordy, Isaiah deserves its own master series. Goodness gracious. But let's go to Isaiah 58, okay? Whew. So Isaiah 58, verse 13. Now this is also talking about fasting in the previous verses. It's kind of like a twofold. And anyway, this is not the whole point of this video. But verse 13, if you hold back your foot on Shabbat from pursuing your own interest on my holy day, if you call Shabbat a delight, Adonai's holy day, worth honoring, then honor it by not doing your usual things or pursuing your interests or speaking about them. If you do, you will find delight in Yahweh. I will make you ride on the heights of the land and feed you with the heritage of your ancestor Jacob. For the mouth of Adonai has spoken, and he did not relent either. It's no coincidence that he goes right into chapter 59 with salvation in Yeshua, because they are linked. Our Messiah is Lord of Shabbat. We need to be paying attention. So Shabbat is so we learn and yearn to be revived in him. So we use what he has taught us the next 6 working days. For we can produce. So we can produce. Now I'll continue in part 3 to part 1.